Blood spilled onto the cold spaceship deck as a trill boot stomped Robert Bailey's face into a pulp. The human envoy came in peace. He would return with shattered bones. "That was needlessly brutal, Commander Krellar," Altair said quietly, as he watched the guards drag the limp human away to the airlock. "We should have accepted his diplomatic overture." "Nonsense," Krellar sneered. "These primitive apes must learn their place. Once we seize their pathetic planet, you'll see." 2 years later, Altair wished he had spoken out more forcefully that fateful day. He stared moodily out the viewport of the diplomatic cruiser at the blue-green marble of Earth below. Beside him, his colleague Zor-El sighed. "No word from the humans since—" Zor-El left the rest unsaid. "Since their fleet was crippled attempting to invade Earth, since a quarter of their ships inexplicably lost power, leaving them sitting ducks." "You don't really believe the humans did it? They're so technologically regressed, barely splitting atoms and building basic computing machines." "I know what I saw, Zor-El, or rather what I didn't see. No evidence of foul play, and yet it cannot be coincidence." A heavy silence hung between them, pregnant with unspoken fears. The truth was they had no idea what the humans were truly capable of. The beaten envoy, they later learned, was the Earth President's own son. His brutalization had been broadcast planet-wide, igniting global fury against the Trill. "They'll want revenge," Zor-El murmured, as if reading Altair's mind. "Krellar's arrogance may doom us all." As if on cue, an urgent message blinked onto the main screen. It was text only, stark and chilling. Altair felt his blood run cold as he read it aloud. "To the Trill hegemony. We desired only peace with you, but you mistook our open hand for weakness. Now you will face the full might of a united Earth. Prepare yourselves." Zor-El paled, hands trembling. What does it mean?" Altair had no comforting words to offer. He could only shake his head helplessly as he stared at the blue planet below, gripped by a terrible sense of foreboding. They had grievously underestimated the humans, and now it seemed there would be hell to pay. Altair took a long sip of his drink, collecting his thoughts. "Do you remember the 100-Hour War, Zor-El? It's what we've come to call the events that transpired a month after that disastrous first contact." Zor-El nodded, leaning forward with interest. "I've heard whispers, but never the full story. What exactly happened?" "A lone human ship appeared at the edge of our home system," Altair began, his voice low and somber. "It broadcast a repeating message, stating they were willing to discuss peace, but only if we handed over Commander Krellar to face justice for assaulting their envoy." "And let me guess our leadership refused?" Zor-El snorted. "Typical Trill arrogance." "Indeed. They were confident in our military superiority and scrambled a fleet to capture the human vessel. But to everyone's shock, the human ship outmaneuvered and outran our ships at every turn. Its propulsion capabilities, Zor-El, they exceeded even our most advanced prototypes." Zor-El's eyes widened. That's impossible. They're technologically regressed compared to us." Altair shook his head grimly. "That's what we thought. But then the human ship began systematically targeting and disabling every military installation and communication relay in our home system with precision strikes. They paralyzed our fleet and left our homeworld defenseless." "How could they have such intimate knowledge of our facilities and infrastructure? We had no prior contact with them." "That's the disturbing part," Altair murmured. "Based on their attack pattern, it seemed as if they had been studying us for years. With our defenses crippled, our leadership panicked and agreed to turn over Krellar. The human ship left immediately upon receiving him, sparing further destruction." Zor-El leaned back, processing this revelation. "So based on this display, it's clear the humans somehow gained a massive technological advantage over us." "Yes, but that's not even the most shocking part," Altair said, his voice trembling slightly. 2 weeks later, the Galactic News reported that Robert Bailey, the assaulted human envoy, had personally overseen Krellar's trial and execution on Earth. Zor-El, According to the timestamps, Robert was giving a speech at Krellar's trial at the exact same time I saw him piloting the human ship that brought us to our knees. The implications are disturbing, to say the least. Zor-El blinked, trying to process the shocking revelations. Could the humans have some kind of cloning technology? Maybe that's how the same man could be in two places at once. Altair shook his head. Our intelligence reports indicate that human biotechnology isn't nearly advanced enough for viable cloning. No, I suspect something else is at play here. What if the humans have developed some sort of advanced artificial intelligence that can perfectly mimic human appearance and behavior? An AI, piloting a ship and interacting with alien races autonomously? Zor-El looked skeptical. That seems like an awfully big risk to take. Perhaps, but consider this. Altair leaned forward. In the aftermath of the 100-Hour War, our salvage teams managed to recover some wreckage from the sites of the human ship's precision strikes. Most of it was damaged beyond analysis, but we did find a few fragments of an unknown synthetic material. Our best scientists have been unable to replicate or even fully understand it. Zor-El's eyes widened. You think this mystery material is the key to their technological superiority? It's a possibility we can't ignore, Altair said grimly. And think about the strategic and tactical brilliance that ship displayed in crippling our defenses. If that was an AI at the helm, it exhibits a grasp of military strategy that rivals our finest commanders. Okay, let's say you're right and they are using AI, Zor-El conceded. Why would they trust it with such autonomy? Because it gives them an edge, Altair replied. If the humans have truly embraced artificial intelligence and integrated it into their society, it could explain their rapid technological advancement. An AI can innovate and adapt at a pace that organics simply cannot match. Zor-El sat back, a troubled expression on his face. If the humans have achieved a technological singularity through advanced AI, it could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. Altair nodded solemnly. And that's not all. In the year since the 100-Hour War, several minor races have reported encounters with human ships that appear and disappear without a trace. They always leave behind advanced technology that the races struggle to understand. It's as if the humans are toying with us, flexing their technological might as a display of dominance. Zor-El leaned back in his chair, a haunted look in his eyes. There's more, Altair. Something I haven't told anyone else. Altair leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. What is it? Zor-El took a deep breath. Just a week ago I was part of a diplomatic mission to the Corv Empire. They were considering allying with us against the humans. Altair nodded. The Corv were a formidable race, their military prowess nearly on par with the Trills. During the negotiations, a Corv general let something slip. He said they had captured a disabled human ship adrift in their space, took the crew prisoner. Zor-El's voice trembled slightly. He boasted that Corv scientists were reverse engineering the ship's advanced tech. Altair's eyes widened. A captured human ship? Why wasn't I informed? Our intelligence never reported this. That's not the shocking part, Zor-El continued. Hours after the general's boast, alarms started blaring across the Corv capital. In the chaos, I saw a small human shuttle land right in front of the central government building. Altair held up a hand. Wait, a shuttle landed in the heart of the Corv capital. During an emergency, how? I couldn't believe my eyes, Zor-El whispered. A group of human children emerged from the shuttle, none older than 14 cycles. They marched into the government building, and the Corv guards just let them pass, too stunned to react. Children, Altair sputtered. Surely you misinterpreted. Zor-El shook his head vehemently. Minutes later, those same children walked out with the captured human crew, battered but alive. They all boarded the shuttle and flew off, leaving the Corv in a confused panic. Altair sat back, trying to process this revelation. What did the Corv say afterwards? They claimed the human children infiltrated their most secure facility, overpowered the guards with advanced weapons, and freed the prisoners. All without a single casualty on either side. Zor-El met Altair's gaze, his expression grim. If that's true, then the humans' technological superiority is beyond anything we imagined. Their children are capable of feats that would be considered elite Trill military operations. Altair felt a chill run down his spine. If mere human children could best the Corv's defenses, what hope did the Trill have against a full human onslaught? Zor-El leaned back, his face a mask of disbelief. The Zandari? Impossible. Their security is legendary. No one, let alone children, could infiltrate their facilities. Altair shook his head gravely. I thought the same, but the Zandari have no reason to lie about such a humiliating breach. He pulled up a holographic display, showing Zor-El the urgent communication from the Zandari Confederation. The message detailed how a group of human children, described as no older than 10 cycles, had somehow bypassed the Zandari's multi-layered security systems. Biometric scanners, force fields, armed guards. None of it had slowed the children down. According to this, Altair continued, the children made their way to the main research vault, cracked the quantum encryption on the door, and made off with samples of the Zandari's most closely guarded genetic augmentation formulas, all in the span of a few minutes. Zor-El's eyes widened as he read the report. Superhuman physical abilities. The children overpowered Zandari guards. Altair nodded grimly. And that's not the most shocking part. When the Zandari finally managed to corner the children, he paused, as if struggling to believe the words himself. The children vanished, into thin air, along with the stolen samples, leaving no trace. Zor-El sat back, his mind reeling. This can't be real, it defies all logic. And yet the Zandari reported it, Altair said. They have no reason to fabricate such a humiliating breach of their security. Combined with what we've seen and heard about the humans, he trailed off, a look of dawning horror on his face. Zor-El, I fear we may be facing an enemy that has achieved not just technological singularity, but biological singularity as well. It would explain the superhuman abilities of their children. Zor-El felt a chill run down his spine. The implications were staggering. If the humans had indeed achieved such a level of advancement, both technological and biological, then the balance of power in the galaxy had already tipped in their favor. And the Trill, along with every other race, were now at the mercy of a species they had once thought primitive and regressed, a species whose true capabilities they were only now beginning to glimpse, a species that, Zor-El realized with growing dread, may have already evolved beyond their understanding. To the Trill hegemony, you have seen but a fraction of our might. We have tolerated your aggression and arrogance thus far, but no more. Altair felt as if the very ground beneath his feet had turned to quicksand. He stared at Zor-El, his mouth agape, struggling to comprehend the implications of what he had just heard. A human child, he said slowly, alone in uncharted space, surviving an attack, healing from mortal wounds in minutes, and then overpowering the crew of a Trill research vessel, with a smile. Zor-El nodded gravely. The captain's report was unsettling, to say the least. He described the boy as eerily calm, even amused by the situation, as if it were all a game to him. And you said he identified himself as Robert Bailey's son, Altair pressed. The same Robert Bailey who was assaulted by Krellar, whose twin crippled our fleet. He trailed off, the unspoken question hanging heavy in the air between them. What were the humans truly capable of? What secrets did their biology hold? Altair shook his head, trying to clear the fog of disbelief. The boy claimed he was on a solo scouting mission, mapping uncharted systems, but why would the humans send a child alone into unknown space? Zor-El leaned forward, his expression grim. Given what we've seen, what their children can do, perhaps we need to reconsider our understanding of what constitutes a child for the humans. Their young seem to be far more capable than we could have imagined. A heavy silence fell between them as they grappled with this new reality, a reality in which human children could traverse the stars alone, survive the unsurvivable, and bend the wills of entire crews to their whims. Altair's mind raced, trying to fit these new revelations into the puzzle of the humans' capabilities. The advanced technology, the seemingly impossible feats, the casual disregard for the norms and limitations that bound the rest of the galaxy. What were they dealing with? A species so far beyond their own understanding that even their children were incomprehensible. Zor-El's voice broke through his churning thoughts. "There's more," he said quietly. According to the captain's report, just before the boy left, he turned to the crew and said something. A message, to be delivered to the Trill leadership. Zor-El's eyes met his, and in them Altair saw a reflection of his own growing fear. He said, "Tell your leaders that they have no idea what they've awoken. The future belongs to humanity, and you can either stand with us or be left behind." Altair sat back heavily, the weight of those words settling like a lead ball in his stomach. It wasn't a threat, he realized. It was a statement of fact, a declaration of the inevitable. The humans, it seemed, were not just technologically and biologically superior. They were confident in their superiority, confident enough to send their children into the unknown, confident enough to issue ultimatums to the mighty Trill hegemony, confident enough perhaps to reshape the very fabric of the galaxy. Altair looked at Zor-El, seeing his own grim realization mirrored back at him. They were standing on the precipice of a new era, and the humans were the ones pushing them over the edge. The question was no longer if the humans would change everything. It was how the Trill and the rest of the galaxy would survive the coming storm. Altair and Zor-El sat in shocked silence, the weight of the revelations hanging heavily between them. The implications of humanity's capabilities were staggering, almost beyond comprehension. After a long moment, Altair cleared his throat, breaking the stillness. "There's one more thing," he said quietly, his voice strained. "Something I've been hesitant to share." Zor-El looked at him, his eyes wide with apprehension. "What is it?" Altair took a deep breath. "A few hours ago I received a highly classified report from our military intelligence. A large fleet of unknown ships was detected entering the galaxy from the unexplored regions beyond the outer rim." "Unknown ships?" Zor-El leaned forward, his brow furrowed. Altair nodded grimly. "Their technology was unlike anything we've ever seen. They were moving at speeds that should be impossible based on known physics." "We don't know," Altair admitted. "We dispatched a fleet to intercept them, but as soon as our ships got within sensor range, the unknown vessels simply vanished." "Vanished?" Zor-El echoed, disbelief coloring his voice. "Yes, and then moments later, they reappeared behind our fleet. Before our ships could even react, the unknown vessels opened fire." Zor-El's eyes widened in horror. "What happened?" Altair's voice was heavy with defeat. "Their weapons ignored our ship's shields, tore through the hulls like they were made of paper. Within minutes, our entire fleet was reduced to debris." A stunned silence fell between them as Zor-El processed this information. "And then what?" he asked finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "So the unknown ships jumped away," Altair said, "leaving no trace of their presence. It was as if they had never been there at all." Zor-El sat back, his face pale. Who could possess such advanced technology? Zor-El felt a chill run down his spine. If the humans are behind this, then we may be facing an existential crisis, Altair finished grimly. Not just the Trill, but the entire galaxy. Zor-El nodded slowly, the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. "We need more information," he said. "We need to rally the other races, prepare for a potential conflict with the humans." Altair agreed, his expression somber. "We may be facing the greatest challenge the galaxy has ever known." They sat in silence, each lost in their own thoughts, the spectre of humanity's might looming over them. The future, once so certain, now seemed shrouded in a terrifying mist of uncertainty. For if the humans truly were behind this new threat, if their technology had advanced so far beyond the Trill's understanding, then what hope did they have? What hope did any of them have against a species that could bend the very fabric of the universe to their will? Altair and Zor-El exchanged a look, a silent acknowledgement of the grim reality they now faced. They were standing on the precipice of a new era, and the humans, it seemed, held the power to push the entire galaxy over the edge. The question was no longer if the humans would change everything. The question was how the Trill and the rest of the galaxy would survive the coming storm. Altair and Zor-El exchanged a grim look as they contemplated the implications of their discussion. The humans, it seemed, were not just technologically and biologically superior, but also possessed an uncanny ability to anticipate and outmaneuver their adversaries. Just as they were about to end their conversation and part ways to begin preparations for the potential conflict, a shrill beep from the ship's communications system interrupted their thoughts. Altair frowned as he activated the console, his eyes widening as he read the message. "It's a broadcast from the Galactic Council," he said, his voice tinged with surprise. "They've received a communication from the humans, requesting an immediate meeting with representatives from all races." Zor-El's brow furrowed. "The humans initiating contact with the galactic community? That's unprecedented." Altair nodded, his mind racing. What could they want? To establish their dominance over us? Perhaps, Zor-El mused, but the message specifically mentions that the meeting is to discuss a matter of grave importance to the survival of all sentient life in the galaxy. Altair scrolled through the message, his eyes landing on a set of coordinates. They've provided a location for the meeting, a neutral site, and the gathering is set to take place in just a few cycles. Zor-El leaned forward, his expression serious. "We have to attend, Altair. The fate of the Trill and the galaxy as a whole could be at stake." Altair agreed, already inputting the coordinates into the ship's navigation system. As he prepared to set course for the meeting location, another beep from the communications console caught his attention. "It's a private message," he said, his voice tinged with confusion, "from Robert Bailey, Jr." Zor-El's eyes widened. The human child? The one who single-handedly overpowered a Trill research vessel? Altair nodded, opening the message. As he read, his expression morphed from surprise to concern. "He says he's looking forward to meeting with us at the council gathering, and that he has important information to share regarding the unknown ships that attacked our fleet." Zor-El leaned in, reading over Altair's shoulder. What does he mean by the children of Earth hold the key to the galaxy's salvation? Altair shook his head, his mind reeling with the implications. "I don't know, but it seems we have no choice but to find out." As they set course for the meeting location, Altair and Zor-El were left pondering the cryptic words of the human child. The fate of the galaxy, it seemed, hung in the balance, and the answers they sought lay in the hands of Earth's enigmatic progeny. As Altair and Zor-El's ship docked at the neutral meeting location, they exchanged a tense glance. The revelations about the humans' capabilities weighed heavily on their minds as they disembarked and made their way to the central chamber where the galactic representatives were gathered. The room was abuzz with nervous chatter as delegates from various races murmured amongst themselves. Altair scanned the crowd, noting the presence of the Xandari, the Corv, and many other influential species. Suddenly, a hush fell over the room as a small human ship entered the station and docked. Altair and Zor-El watched in rapt attention as the airlock opened and a group of human children, led by none other than Robert Bailey, Jr., strode into the chamber. Whispers of disbelief rippled through the crowd. These were the children responsible for the incredible feats that had been reported across the galaxy. They looked so young, so unassuming. He paused, letting his words sink in. The truth is, those incidents were part of a larger effort to counter a grave threat to us all, a threat that comes not from without, but from within humanity itself. Altair leaned forward, his eyes wide. Robert continued. The ships that attacked the Trill fleet were indeed of human origin, but they were not acting under the authority of the Earth government. They are part of a rogue faction called the Ascendants, who believe that the only way to ensure humanity's survival is to conquer the galaxy and subjugate all other races. Gasps of shock and anger filled the room. Zor-El gripped the armrests of his seat, his knuckles pale. The Ascendants have been secretly developing advanced technologies and building their fleet for decades, waiting for the right moment to strike, Robert explained. The Earth government only recently became aware of their existence, and has been working to stop them, but the Ascendants have managed to stay one step ahead. He paused, his gaze sweeping the room. That is, until now. A group of human children, recruited and trained by myself and others, managed to infiltrate the Ascendants' organization and gather crucial intelligence. We call these children the Sentinels. Altair's mind raced as he put the pieces together. The children who had bested the Corv's defenses, who had stolen the Zandari's genetic augmentation formulas, they were these Sentinels. The Sentinels have been working tirelessly to undermine the Ascendants' plans and gather allies among your races, Robert said, his voice growing more urgent, because we know that the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. The Ascendants' technology is far beyond anything we've ever seen, and their fleet is vast. As if on cue, alarms began to blare throughout the station. The assembled representatives looked around in confusion and fear. Robert's expression grew grim. They're here. The Ascendants have arrived. He turned to face the gathered races, his young face set with determination. The Sentinels have done all they can. Now it's up to all of us to stand together against this threat. The children of Earth are ready to fight alongside you, but we cannot do it alone. Altair met Zor-El's gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. They knew the Trill, and indeed all the races of the galaxy, had a long history of conflict and mistrust. But they also knew that if they did not unite now, they might not have a future at all. As the first explosions rocked the station, signaling the beginning of the Ascendants' attack, Altair rose to his feet. "The Trill stand with Earth," he declared, his voice ringing out clear and strong. "We will fight!" Zor-El joined him, and one by one the other representatives stood, their voices joining in a chorus of solidarity. In that moment, facing the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known, the races of the galaxy stood as one. And as Altair and Zor-El raced to their ship to join the battle, they knew that this was only the beginning. The war for the galaxy's future had begun, and the outcome was far from certain. But one thing was clear. The children of Earth, the young Sentinels who had risked everything to give them this chance, were the galaxy's best hope. And the Trill, along with every other race, would stand with them until the end. The ship shuddered as another explosion rocked the station. Altair gripped the controls. His eyes narrowed as he maneuvered the vessel out of the docking bay and into the chaos of the battle raging outside. Beside him, Zor-El worked frantically at the weapons console, trying to bring the ship's defenses online. Altair and Zor-El exchanged a grim look as they watched the battle unfold on the viewscreen. The combined forces of the galactic races and the Sentinels fought bravely, but they were losing ground to the Ascendants' superior technology and sheer numbers. "This isn't looking good," Zor-El said, his voice tight with tension. "We're outmatched and outgunned. We need a miracle." Just then, Robert's face appeared on the screen. "Altair, Zor-El, I have a plan," he said, his young face set with determination. "We need to infiltrate the Ascendants' flagship and disable their command and control systems. It's our only chance to turn the tide." Altair leaned forward, intrigued. "How do you propose we do that? Their ship is heavily guarded." "I have a team of Sentinels ready," Robert replied. "We've been training for this, but we could use your help." Zor-El looked at Altair, a silent question passing between them. They had come to respect and admire Robert during the course of the battle, and they knew that if anyone could pull off such a daring mission, it was him. "We're in," Altair said. "Just tell us what you need." Moments later, they were aboard a small, stealthy ship, heading towards the Ascendants' flagship. Robert and his team of Sentinels moved with a precision and skill that belied their young age, quickly neutralizing any resistance they encountered. As they made their way deeper into the ship, they were suddenly confronted by a tall, imposing figure. It was a human woman, her face stern and uncompromising. "Robert," she said, her voice cold, "I should have known you'd be behind this foolish attempt." Robert stared at her, his eyes wide with shock. "Mother," he whispered, what are you doing here?" She proceeded to explain how the Ascendants had been manipulating the galactic races for centuries, using their conflicts and mistrust to keep them divided and weak. The Sentinels, she revealed, were actually part of the Ascendants' plan all along, trained and deployed to gather intelligence and sow chaos. Robert shook his head, refusing to believe it, but as Ilara laid out the evidence, he couldn't deny the truth. He had been used, a pawn in his mother's game. In that moment, Robert faced a terrible choice. He could stand with his mother and the Ascendants, embracing their vision of human supremacy, or he could reject everything he had been raised to believe and fight for the freedom of all races. In the end, there was only one choice he could make. With a heavy heart, Robert turned his back on his mother and the Ascendants, knowing that the fate of billions hung in the balance. The battle that followed was fierce and desperate. Robert and his team fought their way to the ship's command center, facing down Ilara and her elite guards. In a final desperate gambit, they managed to disable the Ascendants' command systems, leaving their fleet vulnerable to attack. Seizing the opportunity, the galactic forces launched an all-out assault on the Ascendant fleet. With their coordination and control disrupted, the Ascendants began to fall, their ships blossoming into fireballs against the dark of space. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Many of the Sentinels, Robert's friends and comrades, had fallen in the battle, and in a final confrontation with Ilara, Robert himself was forced to make the ultimate sacrifice, giving his life to ensure the Ascendants' defeat. In the aftermath of the battle, the galactic races came together to mourn the fallen and begin the long process of rebuilding. Altair and Zor-El, having witnessed the bravery and sacrifice of the human children firsthand, vowed to work towards a future of greater understanding and cooperation between the races. But they knew that the scars of the conflict would take a long time to heal, and that the galaxy would never be the same. As they stood together, looking out at the stars, they couldn't help but wonder what other challenges and threats might lie ahead. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.